People's surroundings often reflect their character and personality, which might explain why the flower fairy lived in a beautiful palace surrounded by a delightful garden. The garden was full of flowers, trees, fountains, fish ponds, and other lovely things. The fairy herself was so kind and charming that everyone adored her. And the young princes and princesses who lived at her court were always happy just to be near her. These children came to her when they were very young and stayed until they grew up and had to leave to explore the wider world. And when that time came, the fairy granted each of them whatever gift they asked for. This story, however, is mostly about Princess Sylvia. The fairy loved Sylvia dearly because she was both gentle and unique. Sylvia was nearly old enough to receive her special gift. Before giving Sylvia her gift, the fairy wanted to check on the princesses who had already grown up and left her, so she decided to send Sylvia to visit some of them. One day, the fairy called for her butterfly-drawn chariot and said to Sylvia, "I'm sending you to the court of Iris. She will welcome you warmly both for my sake and yours. You'll stay there for 2 months, and when you return, I want to hear all about your visit and what you think of her." Sylvia was reluctant to leave, but since the fairy wished it, she said nothing. When the 2 months were over, she eagerly stepped into the butterfly chariot, anxious to return to the flower fairy, who was equally thrilled to see her again. "Now, my child," said the fairy, "tell me what you've learned." "You sent me, madam," Sylvia replied, "to the court of Iris, to whom you had given the gift of beauty. She never mentions that it was your gift specifically, though she often speaks of your kindness in general. At first, her beauty completely dazzled me, but I soon noticed that it seems to have replaced all her other gifts and talents. She acts as though simply being seen is the only thing expected of her. Unfortunately, while I was there, she became seriously ill, and although she recovered, her beauty is completely gone. Now she hates the sight of herself and is in despair. She begged me to tell you what happened and asked for your pity to restore her beauty. She truly needs it, as everything about her that seemed tolerable or even charming when she was beautiful now feels unpleasant. She hasn't used her mind or her natural cleverness in so long that I don't think she's capable of them anymore. She knows all this, which only makes her more miserable, and she pleads for your help." "You've told me what I needed to know," said the fairy, "but sadly I cannot help her. My gifts can only be given once. Some time passed in the flower fairy's palace when she called Sylvia to her again. The fairy told her it was time to spend some time with the Princess Daphne, and soon the butterflies carried Sylvia off to a completely unfamiliar kingdom. However, Sylvia hadn't been there long before a butterfly arrived with a message from her to the fairy, begging to be brought back as soon as possible. Before too long, Sylvia was allowed to return. "Oh, madam," Sylvia cried, "what a place you sent me to that time." "What was the matter?" asked the fairy. "If I recall correctly, Daphne was one of the princesses who asked for the gift of eloquence." "And what a terrible gift," Sylvia replied firmly. "It's true, she speaks well and chooses her words carefully, but she never stops talking. At first it's amusing, but soon it becomes exhausting. She especially loves to hold assemblies to discuss the affairs of her kingdom, where she can talk endlessly without interruption. But even when those meetings are over, she starts talking again, talking about anything or nothing at all. I was so relieved to leave, I can't even tell you." The fairy smiled at Sylvia's genuine distaste for her experience. After giving her some time to recover, the fairy sent her to the court of Princess Cynthia, where she stayed for 3 months. When Sylvia returned, she was full of joy and relief at being back with her dear friend. As usual, the fairy was eager to hear her thoughts, especially since Cynthia was known for being charming and had been given the gift of pleasing. "At first," Sylvia began, "I thought she must be the happiest princess in the world. She had countless admirers who competed to make her happy. I almost decided to ask for the same gift myself. "You've changed your mind, I take it?" the fairy interrupted. "Yes, madam," Sylvia replied, "and I'll tell you why. The longer I stayed, the more I realized Cynthia wasn't truly happy. In trying to please everyone, she lost her sincerity and became little more than a flirt. Even her admirers grew tired of her charms, as they were given to everyone without distinction. Eventually, they stopped caring for her and left her behind." "I am proud of you, child," said the fairy. "Stay here and enjoy yourself for a while. Soon I will send you to visit Fidelia." Sylvia was glad to have some time to think, as she still couldn't decide what she should ask for herself, and the moment to choose was fast approaching. Before long, the fairy sent her to visit Fidelia, and eagerly awaited to hear her report. "I arrived at her court safely," Sylvia began, "and she welcomed me kindly. Right away she started using the brilliant wit you had given her. I admit I was captivated by it, and for a week I thought nothing could be more wonderful. Time flew by because her company was so entertaining. But eventually I stopped longing for that gift above all the others. Like the gift of being charming, it brings true happiness. Over time, I grew tired of what fascinated me at first, especially when I realized that constantly being clever and witty often leads to being unkind. It also makes everything, even serious matters, into nothing more than opportunities for a clever joke." The fairy silently agreed with Sylvia's observations and felt proud of the way she had raised her. Finally, the moment arrived for Sylvia to choose her gift. All her companions gathered, and the fairy stood surrounded by them. In the usual way, she asked Sylvia what she wanted to take with her into the wider world. Sylvia paused for a moment before replying, "A quiet spirit." The fairy granted her wish. This gift brought Sylvia constant happiness and spread joy to everyone around her. Her face reflected the beauty of gentleness and contentment, and even on days when she was troubled or sad, the harshest words anyone ever said were, "Sylvia's dear face looks pale today. It's upsetting to see her like this." But on the days when she was happy and full of joy, her presence brightened the lives of everyone lucky enough to be near her. Some of the main symbols and themes in this story. The Flower Fairy's palace can represent a nurturing environment where wisdom and growth are cultivated. The gifts given by the fairy symbolize personal qualities or talents, each with its strengths and potential drawbacks. The butterfly chariot can represent freedom, exploration, and the journey towards self-discovery. Princess Sylvia can symbolize a seeker of wisdom, learning from others' experiences to make thoughtful choices. Princess Iris, who had the gift of beauty, can symbolize superficiality and the fleeting nature of external beauty when not balanced with inner qualities. Princess Daphne, who had the gift of eloquence, can represent the power and potential burden of communication when overused or misapplied. Princess Sylvia, who had the gift of pleasing, symbolizes the dangers of losing authenticity and self-worth by constantly seeking others' approval. Princess Fidelia, who had the gift of wit, represents intelligence and humor, highlighting how they can sometimes lead to insensitivity or trivializing important matters. The quiet spirit can symbolize inner peace, contentment, and the ability to bring happiness to oneself and others. It reflects the ultimate wisdom and maturity Sylvia achieved. Character and surroundings were a big theme in this story. The environment often reflects the personality and values of its inhabitants, as seen with the Flower Fairy's beautiful palace and garden. The nature of gifts was another big theme. Each gift bestowed upon the princess's beauty, eloquence, charm, wit, etc., comes with its challenges and consequences, highlighting the complexity of seemingly desirable traits. The pursuit of happiness was an overarching theme in this story. Happiness is shown to be more about inner qualities in the story than external gifts or appearances. Another big theme was self-awareness and growth. Sylvia's journey to the courts of all these other princesses and her observations helped her to develop wisdom and self-awareness about what truly matters. Another big theme was the value of humility and simplicity. Sylvia's final choice, a quiet spirit, emphasized the importance of inner peace, contentment, and genuine kindness over superficial or fleeting qualities. Consequences, or the misuse of our gifts, was another theme. The adverse outcomes of beauty and eloquence, charm, wit demonstrate the dangers of relying on or misusing one's gifts. Another overarching theme in this story was the power of gentleness. Sylvia's gentle nature eventually brought joy and harmony to everyone, proving the lasting value of kindness and inner peace. I hope you enjoyed the story. Until next time, blessed be.